And actually, there was another governor appointed, but he actually never took up his position. So this is the first person who actually took up the position, and this would be the documents which appointed him from, again, by the king and of Spain. I forgot the royal charter, which appointed him. Okay, and we're moving along now to one of the later governors of Trinidad and Tobago. This is actually the last governor, the Spanish governor of Trinidad. I keep saying Tobago, but it's Trinidad. This is Chacon Jose, Don Jose Chacon. He's credited with turning around the fortunes of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, Trinidad, I keep forgetting Trinidad. I'm so accustomed to saying Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad, for the most part, in the early part of the Spanish colonization, didn't really pay much attention to the colony. It didn't seem to have anything there. Everybody was interested in getting to the gold, the El Dorado, which they hoped to find. And Trinidad was left languishing for quite a long time. But there was a change in direction in the monarchy in Spain, and with that change, they also had a new policy in how they dealt with the colonies. And they developed a plan of action to change the fortunes of Trinidad. And that is outlined in a document called the Cedula of, there's a Spanish name for it, but the Cedula of Population. And Chacon was charged with implementing that, the measures outlined in that cedula. He was actually paid, so he got a salary for doing his work, unlike some of the other governors who served before. And what we have here, of course, is his royal charter, where he was appointed governor, and it actually says how much he's going to be paid. It's 3,000 ducats, I believe is the right word, that he was paid annually for doing that job. And also, we outline here some of his two reports that he submitted, where he gave statistics on the state of the colony since his taking on the job of being governor, and following, of course, the cedula. It's very detailed reports where he explained the change and the growth in population, the change in the numbers annually. He compared one year to the other, the growth in the estates, the new crops that they started planting, how many people joined the colony. So it really showed the growth and development of the colony over the years. And this large document actually talked about a 10-year span from, I want to get it right, 1783 to 1794. During his tenure, it really outlined all the development and growth and things that he did to develop the colony. He didn't actually write it, it's written by someone else, but it was submitted again to the King and Queen of Spain. One of the significant growths it had, it showed that the population increased from 6,000, I believe, to 14,000 under his tenure. In addition to which, what the output in the colony was from 3,000 pesos to 1 million pesos for an annual output. So it really was, there was significant growth while he was there. And then the colony became a booming enterprise. Of course, once that happened, other people started looking at the colony as being viable and interesting and want to have it, because this is the time of conquest. So other colonizers, the English, French, well, not so much French, were looking at it. And as a governor, he did report on several occasions that the colony was at risk and it needed more fortification, it needed more support in terms of forces, soldiers, and so on. But he was not, that was not considered, or they did not send it. But the colony was left basically for the persons who were there, who were planters and regular civilians to guard. And although he was a military person himself, well, he had no soldiers, and there was no fortification. It was very difficult for him to protect the colony.
So the British actually took over the colony in
1797, right? And he conceded the colony. There was a capitulation at that time. There are different schools of thought about that capitulation, and some people felt that he gave in too easily and he may have been in cahoots with the British or corrupt. Others, well, if he said he did his very best, and he did ask. There's evidence that he did write on several occasions asking for assistance and for protecting the island. So, well, I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We won't know, but in 1797 they did peacefully hand over the colony. Well, the only thing they did do is burn all the ships though. There were some ships, Spanish ships, in the harbor, but instead of giving in or giving up the ships, they destroyed all the vessels that were there, and the British moved in peacefully. You know, there were no casualties, and eventually they signed an agreement in 1802, um, the Treaty of Amiens, if I'm saying it right, and so that the island was peacefully handed over. What we also have as part of this collection are some maps, and the maps really show the development and I guess maybe the change in perspective of how the island was thought of over the period. One of the early ones we're seeing to the left here with the colors in green and brown. We're really seeing Trinidad from the perspective of the mainland. So it's looking at it as if it's on its side, and it also shows you the strategic importance of Trinidad because it's really covering the mouth of the Orinoco. If you see all the inlets, the ways to get in, so it's really blocking others from getting in there. So in the early days, as I said, that's all Trinidad was thought of. It's a transit point to get to the mainland on the way to El Dorado. But as you see from some of the other maps, as it becomes more detailed, there's a lot more information available in the map where they look at what is actually going on in Trinidad. And this map in particular, it was sent along with a request. Again, as we remember, we were talking about that Trinidad needed fortification. And beyond, not only Chacon Road, but other governors' road. And this is one of the maps that was attached to one of the requests for assistance to build forts. And at that time, they moved the town of Port of Spain, this capital, to Port of Spain, which is down here in the northwest. The original capital was at St. Joseph, was just in the foothills of the northern range, which is fairly well protected because it is in the northern range and you can't really get over that way. But definitely Port of Spain would have needed the fortification. It's right there on the coastline. And again, I suppose they submitted the map along with the justification to try and get them to understand the need. But it was not forthcoming. This map just simply shows the whole region. And again, you can see the focus is here. More detail is given on the mainland and the other islands, you know, just faint drawing. This is actually a pencil drawing. And on this side, this is the most detailed one, which is more of a nautical, a maritime map. It was done, well, all the markings here are supposed to show the depth and the topography, well, you won't call it topography, the ground, the ocean floor, as well as if there are reefs or any barriers or anything. So it's really for seafaring folk. So it's quite detailed, and even today, this information is pretty much the same. You can see all the islands off Chagaramas, they're very well detailed. So it's quite good. And if you notice, it's not just on the coastline they mapped. They went all out here, you see, into the Atlantic and further into the Gulf. And at the time when they're doing this, of course, they're doing this without modern technology. And I'm never sure that I remember the word, but they actually have to use a rope at different lengths and sail around the island to get the different depths. So it's quite detailed.